everybody, Cinema Sickness here with your daily sickness video, and happy Saturday to each and every one of you. And as always, hope you're having a fantastic day and a fantastic weekend thus far. Hopefully the weather's good wherever you are and you're making the best of it. So, alright guys, let's get down to today's daily sickness video because we're going to try to get through this as quickly as possible. Because yes, it's that time once again for some reviews and watching a lot of cool stuff recently, and we're going to take a look at what I've been checking out. Again, I'm going to try to get through this again, as quickly as possible, as I always say. Hopefully this won't take too long. So, alright guys, let's do it. So first up here is The Road to El Dorado. Certainly a movie I've seen countless times before. I love this film, probably my favorite out of this time period of DreamWorks animation. I cannot get enough of this. I remember the first time I saw this. It was actually the first one of these movies I saw. There's this, but there's Sinbad, there's Spirits, something else too, right? I'm forgetting. I don't know. I know I'm forgetting something. But I remember when all these movies were coming out, this was the first one of them I saw. And I had actually skipped these movies for a little while. I didn't get into these right away, but I was a huge Disney fan. And when I finally got around to picking these up and checking them out, I was blown away because they definitely had a great kind of Disney feel. I wouldn't say these are as good as Disney. I'm not going to go that far. But they're pretty close, and I think they did a good job of trying to capture that Disney essence, that Disney feel, and came very close to it. Not quite reaching that plateau, but getting very close nevertheless. And I absolutely love these films. Great acting, great stories, very funny, very enjoyable to watch. So I would highly recommend these, especially if you are a Disney fan. If you're a Disney fan, these are worth watching. Again, I'm not going to say they're as good. Don't expect to get Disney out of these, but expect to get something close that definitely will satisfy you. And if you're just a fan of animation in general, these movies are definitely worth checking out. This whole time period of DreamWorks before they went completely all CG. This is a mixture of computer animation and hand-drawn animation, which was common for the time when these movies were coming out. A lot of movies were transitioning into full computer animation, and this was in that time period where they were still doing a bit of both during the movie. So a bit of hand-drawn animation, a bit of computer animation, but it works pretty well together, and definitely recommend checking it out. So if you're a fan of animation, if you're a fan of Disney, these are worth seeing. I love this film, and my favorite out of all the pictures that came out around this time. So very awesome. All right, then a movie you guys were questioning a lot. Sharkula, Diarrhea of a Madman. Now, I think you guys were thinking this was maybe like a horror movie, like some cheesy horror movie. That is not the case. Sharkula is this street hip-hop artist. And he's kind of known for being very eccentric. He's not very good at what he does. He's not exactly a very good hip-hop artist. But he's known for really pushing his cassette tapes and whatnot. He records and he does really bad recordings on the cassette tapes and goes out and just tries to sell them to anybody and everybody. And he's kind of become this big name around town because of this. And people now know who he is, and he's made a bit of a name for himself. It's kind of a question as to whether or not people are into him because he is so bad. Kind of like, liking a movie because it's so bad it's good. Kind of the same thing. This artist is so bad that he's good. People really enjoy him because it is something different. It's something weird. It's something bizarre, but strangely enjoyable. So, interesting story about this guy's life and how he became this hip-hop artist and became who he is and how he became well known. So worth checking out if you're interested. You don't even have to be into hip-hop to enjoy this. It's not like you need to be some big rap fan or something like that, or anything like that to actually enjoy this movie. It's just a really interesting story about this guy in of itself, and whether you're into hip-hop or not, it's gonna be worth checking out. So interesting story, definitely one to see. Love this one as well. We have Promised Land. I figured I was going to like this going into it. I really didn't know much about it, but it just, I don't know, it looked like a movie I was going to like, and I tend to like Matt Damon movies. So interesting story about, it has a very environmental sort of cautionary tale going on, but it's a great story nevertheless. Matt Damon, he plays this guy who basically goes into crappy little towns that aren't doing well anymore and sells the idea of drilling on these people's land to get natural gas. And people usually go for it because these towns are broke. Nobody has any money, and they basically say, the sales pitch is like, oh, we're going to come in, and your land's worth yada, 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 $1 million, because there's all this, underneath it's all this natural gas we want to drill down and get. So if we do that, we'll give you, blah, 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 $1 billion. Or basically, you could potentially get yada, yada, $1 billion. Most likely not. But that's the whole thing, and the town's kind of going for it at first until they have this like meeting, and there's this teacher, the science teacher, who stands up and says something about it because he knows that fragging, which is the process of getting the natural gas, isn't necessarily safe and things could happen. Not all the time. A lot of times they drill down and everything's just perfectly fine, but there is the possibility that they're going to drill down to get this gas, and you're going to be able to like light your water on fire, and animals are going to start dying, and all this bad stuff will happen, and the town will just be like destroyed. It'll be this like wasteland, and they certainly don't want to see that. They want money, but they still want to have a great town to live in. And very interesting story. And what happens is that Matt Damon, when this teacher brings this up, he kind of doesn't do a very good job, even though he's kind of like the #1 salesman. He's really good, but he screws up a little bit in his presentation, and it scares the hell out of the company, and they do something really shady. I'm not going to give it away, but they do something really shady to fix the problem and to get everybody on board on the side of this company. And it's pretty messed up. And of course, once Matt Damon finds out that the company did this to him and to the town and everything like that, he does something on purpose to basically get himself fired. So he quits, but sort of. He does something on purpose that's pretty bad that's obviously going to get him fired. And interesting story, definitely worth checking out. Had some heart to it, and the environmental story behind it, the message behind it wasn't like shoved down your throat. You're not going to watch this and feel like you're watching like a PSA or something like that. It's not that bad. It's not like they're really shoving it down your throat. It's just kind of the backstory to help the movie move along. So absolutely fantastic, and filmed in Pennsylvania too, I believe out west around Pittsburgh. So very cool, awesome. Definitely recommend that one. Then I decided to just watch again because I hadn't seen this in a while, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Turtles Forever. Cool story. It's basically the great classic, in my opinion, classic 80s and into 90s Ninja Turtles meets the early 2000s Turtles, and very interesting story about them, the worlds colliding. And what I love most about this is they explain all the different Ninja Turtles, from the movies to the different animated series to the comic books. Basically any rendition of the Ninja Turtles ever, they basically explain to it as it being like a different like dimension and a different like timeline, and it's very, very cool. And they pay homage to basically all of it, and I love how it's these two great Turtle series colliding and having to defeat the Shredder and all that stuff, and it's very interesting. And then I love at the very end them going into the original comic book dimension. So it's the black and white comic book with the original Ninja Turtles. It's dark, it's gritty, and I love it so much. And they do a pretty good job of voicing all the characters. They didn't get the original cast back, unfortunately, to voice it. I don't know why. I really wish they would have, but wasn't the case. But they do a pretty good job of imitating the original voices of the Turtles and the Shredder and Krang and everything like that. So very, very cool. If you're a fan of classic Turtles from the classic 80s and the 90s Turtles, this is worth checking out. But if you're like me and you like that and you like the early 2000s series, then you're going to really enjoy this one. It's just absolutely fantastic. I mean, look, you got some badass early 2000 Turtles, me and some classic Turtles right there. So very cool. Definitely one to see. If you are a Turtles fan, this is an awesome, awesome movie. So definitely see it. Then a not all that great documentary, Spellbound. And I wasn't quite sure what to think of going in this one. It's a documentary about a spelling bee contest and the pressures and everything that go into it. And I think the problem with this is just how exciting can you make a spelling bee contest? And of course, as these documentaries do, they pick the nerdiest kids, the kids with the most interesting stories. They're not going to pick the average Joe Blow who just, is an average kid who seems perfectly normal, who just can spell really well. They're not going to screw that kid. We're not going to film him. They're going to film the people who, maybe have like family issues, or this kid here who's definitely extremely socially awkward and suffers from like ADHD and bounces off the wall, stuff like that. They're going to focus on those people. So it's kind of interesting, but again, it's a spelling bee, and nothing ever gets that nuts, and like nobody ever seems to be getting like all that like has all that much crazy pressure behind them. It just doesn't really go quite anywhere, and just kind of falls a little flat. So definitely not the most interesting documentary I've ever seen. So we're checking out. I guess if you really want to see it, sure, but it's nothing you need to see. If you're like me, you just like great documentaries, this isn't one you necessarily need to check out. But very cool. One of the girls that they have in this is actually from my area, so that's pretty interesting. I was very interesting to see that when her name popped up and it said where she was from. I was like, I live like 2 towns away from there, so pretty cool. All right. Then I watched Joe Dirt 2 Beautiful Loser. Dear God, was this a bad movie. I like the original Joe Dirt. The Joe Dirt movie is great. And it's one of those movies that became a cult hit. You know, theaters, didn't really do so well. Once it came out on video and was shown on, like, Cartoon Network, or not Cartoon Network, Comedy Central, every, like, 5 minutes, it became this big cult hit and became this huge phenomenon. And, you know, people love that movie. So, they thought, hey, let's make a sequel. Yeah, I should have known as soon as I found, you know, as soon as I read this, a Crackle original movie. And for those of you who know what Crackle is, it's like a it's like a website, it's a streaming website, and they offer like free movies and free TV shows and stuff that you can watch. I think you can pay for stuff and rent stuff too, but they offer free stuff. And that's how I found it. I was like, oh, cool, free movies I can watch, which is kind of neat. It's a pretty neat site. They have like an app and everything like that, which is pretty cool. But I was like, oh God, they're making movies now, and they actually got pretty much most of the cast. I mean, Christopher Walken and I mean Dennis Miller, and I mean, like, so many people come back for this movie. They didn't just BS it. They got a bunch of, again, like 99% of the cast back from the first movie in this one, and even just showing them as cameos, they're like back, which is really surprising because this is a garbage film. I mean, they're like making fun of like Forrest Gump at one point, and he goes like back in time. He's like time traveling and like from because he goes into a tornado, and it's like, what? It's just stupid, and not in a good sort of way, not in a stupid Joe Dirt sort of way, not the first movie where it's stupid, ha ha, but it's funny. This is just bad. It's poorly written, poorly directed, poorly acted, poorly everything. I mean, this felt like they just went, I don't know, let's write, this happened, and then that happened, and okay, we'll figure it out as we go along. It just felt like they rushed this. They didn't even like think about it. Like, I can't believe the people who the actors and actresses in this movie, you know, did they read the script? Did they read it and go, that sounds great? I can't imagine Crackle had a lot of money. They had to have been paid like $1 zillion each. Why else would they do this garbage film? Why? This is horrible. Do not see this. Watch the first movie. The first movie's great. It's funny. It's interesting. It's a good movie. I love the first movie. Stay far away from Joe Dirt 2. One of the worst movies I've ever seen in my entire life. But then a movie I enjoyed. This is Where Angels Go, Trouble Follows. Now, something I don't really ever do, I don't watch a sequel before I watch the original. This is a sequel. This is not the original. But why did I watch this? I bought this, and then the following week, I'm talking to this woman I work with, and I forget what we were talking. I think we were talking about Dorney Park, which is in Allentown, Pennsylvania, amusement park I used to go to a lot when I was a kid. It's still around. It's not. I don't really like it anymore. I liked it better when I was a kid, but we were talking about it, and she goes, "Yeah, I think I remember there being like a movie that was filmed there when I was younger." And I was like, "Really?" I'm like, "I gotta find out what this movie is." I look it up. It's this movie, and I go back and I talk to her. I'm like, I literally just bought that movie last week. That is weird that you and I are talking about this movie that I just picked up. So I was like, I gotta watch it. Even though I haven't seen the first movie, I gotta watch it. And I really enjoy this one, and I'm really interested in seeing the first movie. I gotta admit, though, I'm probably very biased when it comes to this movie, because really, the more I think about it, it's nothing all that special. It's about this, like, Catholic school. There's this nun who she gets in trouble a lot because she protests anti-war protests and peace protests and stuff like that, which is pretty cool because the church actually doesn't necessarily like reprimand her for this. They're not happy about it because she keeps getting arrested because she's protesting, but at the same time they realize what she's doing is good and she's promoting peace and love and stuff like that. So they're kind of like, well, you know, we can't get too mad at her. She's doing something good, so they kind of just let her slide. But the whole movie is then they're going to like a peace rally across country. It's, you know, and the stuff they get into while doing that. And it's just okay. It's a road trip movie. It's all right. It's not nothing amazing. But what I love about this is the fact that so much of it was filmed here in the Pennsylvania area. There is certainly some scenes filmed at Dorney Park, which is really, really cool. I love seeing that, especially since they were showing rides that aren't there anymore. There was this really cool dark ride called Journey to the Center of the Earth, which is like one of my all-time favorite rides ever that they tore down because they're idiots. I remember they were showing that, and so many cool things I remember from when I was a kid at Dorney Park. The two schools, they're at the school that the nuns and the girls are at, and they go to another school which is supposed to be like halfway across the country or something like that, but it's actually in Germantown, Pennsylvania. So all these two schools they visit, or that are shown in the movie, are actually from right around where I went to college, which is really cool. So I actually got to get out there sometime and visit those. Maybe do like a video showing off those two schools. I'm probably gonna do that. I really want to go out to these filming locations now since they're not too far away from me. So that was really neat. And there's other sections, and they're driving. Basically, 90% of this film was shot in Pennsylvania. Anytime they're driving across country, they're driving through Pennsylvania. Every little scene is like a town in Pennsylvania they're driving through, which is really cool. And I wish there was some like really hardcore documentation on where like every scene is. I looked it up online, and it was like they showed you where like a gas station was, and there was I think like a bridge they drove over. I know where it is and stuff like that. But there was all these like little farmhouses and stuff they're driving past. I'm like, where is that? Where is that little farmhouse? I want to find it. Like, I really want to know all this stuff, but I couldn't find any information on it. But it all takes place, it's basically all filmed in Pennsylvania until they get out to, like, I think it's New Mexico they're going to. Once they get out there, obviously there's some filming out there because that's where they were headed, but I think it's pretty neat that most of this was filmed like in the area I live in. So am I a bit biased? Probably why I enjoyed this film so much. But I still thought it was really good and an interesting movie and definitely worth checking out. And the Where Angels Go Trouble Follows song will be stuck in your head. I watched this like almost 2 weeks ago at this point. It is still stuck in my head. I still keep singing that song, and I want to get this has the soundtrack. I want to pick it up. So I got to see the first movie. Hopefully it's as good as this. I definitely got to check it out, and I will be visiting those filming locations at some point, so we'll see. All right, then I checked out Chinese Zodiac. I'm a big Jackie Chan fan, so I definitely wanted to see this. Unfortunately, the movie was just kind of mediocre. It wasn't all that great. I just wasn't I wasn't blown away by it. I love Jackie Chan movies. This one was kind of just like, eh. I believe this is considered Operation Condor 3. It's kind of like a reboot of the Operation Condor series. Yeah, it just kind of felt like a poor man's Jackie Chan movie. Unfortunately, Jackie is getting old. And he still does all his own stunts, but a lot of it is wire work, and it just doesn't feel... they're not as big of stunts anymore. There was even some CGI in here, like this scene where he's like in this tunnel. He's got this like the... They show a picture on here? Yeah, there we go. See him right there? He's in this like suit with like wheels on him and stuff, and he's going down this hill, which by the way is sped up. He's going down this hill not very fast. You could tell he's sped up when the film sped up when he's doing that, which is sad. And there's a scene where he goes into like this tunnel, and he's supposed to be like zipping around this tunnel, which is all like CGI. And there's a scene where he smashes out this window and comes crashing down the road. He's all wired up and a lot of stuff like that. So I still commend a guy for doing his own stunts at his age. That's awesome. But it's not the same stuff. It's not the same Jackie Chan. There's also another scene where like they're fighting in the air. They jumped out of a plane, and they show at the end it's all green screen. They're all like one of those big things where there's big fans and you jump over and you're floating on the cushion of air, and there's a big green screen behind them that they're filming on. So years ago he would have been jumping out of a plane, battling people in the air. He would have really done that stunt. Now it's all just green screen and CGI'd. So it's a shame. But it's great. It's Jackie. Again, I'm not going to knock the guy. He's doing stuff that I wouldn't even do at my age. So kudos to him. But it did kind of feel just like, it felt like it was trying to be a Jackie Chan movie and just wasn't quite there. So I think Jackie, unfortunately, at this point in time, he's still a great guy. I still love him. But his days of doing like major stunts are probably behind him, unfortunately. But it's a great, it's great to see him still doing stuff. But anyway, the movie was just kind of mediocre. The story wasn't really all that good, unfortunately. And oh my god, I got this like itch right here. I know, I keep scratching it. It won't go away. But the story was just mediocre, so definitely not one of my favorite Jackie Chan movies. I'm not necessarily going to recommend this one. It was just alright. If you're a big Jackie Chan fan, check it out, I guess, but it's not going to feel like classic Jackie, unfortunately. He did actually get 2 Guinness World Records by doing this. Apparently this movie, he won for person with the most film credits in one movie, apparently for this one. And apparently this also put him into the records for an actor to do the most stunts ever. So kudos. Very cool, Jackie, for getting those Guinness World Records stunts. That's awesome. So, or Guinness World Record awards. So very, very cool. And like I said, the movie was mediocre, but it was kind of neat, I guess, if you're Jackie Chan, but oh well. Anyway, so then I checked, that make any sense. Then I checked out The Sapphires. This was a cool movie. It's a Australian film based on this Australian singing group, but they're all like Aborigine women singing in this group. They like sang together back in the day, and they got this opportunity to basically go to Vietnam and sing, and they become this this like doo-wop group who goes to Vietnam and sings like these great R&B hits, and they become this big hits for a while. And of course, once the war's over and they all come back home, they all just kind of go their separate ways. I mean, they apparently still stay friends, but they don't do the group anymore. They just disband the group, which is interesting how that all worked out. But again, very interesting story. And one thing I like most about it is the fact that here in the United States, living in the United States, I certainly knew about the horribleness with racism. I mean, not that that's necessarily gone away. People are still horribly racist, but how at least things are getting a little better. But how horrible things used to be, and it's interesting to see that things were this absolute same in other parts of the world. Because here in the U.S., you don't know how bad was racism. In Australia. I mean, if you live in Australia, I'm sure you know the history of that. I, in the United States, really don't know the history of that. And it's interesting to see the way Aborigines are treated, even though they're like, the original people from the country. They weren't even treated. They weren't even considered citizens. The government would come in and find like fair-skinned children, children who were very, very white and could kind of pass as maybe being white. They would like steal them away from their families and put them in with other families and basically teach them how to be white. Are you kidding me? Like, what the hell? So, and this was going on like what, in the 70s and stuff like that, like up into the 70s. Like, Jesus, like this is crazy. So absolutely nuts. But again, great movie, very interesting story. Definitely worth checking out. I'd say the only bad thing about it is that it kind of felt like a poor man's Ray or Walk the Line or a movie like that, even Jersey Boys, stuff like that. One of those great movies about either a musical group or a musician. It had all the key scenes you'd expect from those movies in this one, but it just didn't quite feel like it was as big and as grand as those other movies. So a little bit of a poor man's musical biographical film, but nevertheless good and deserved a lot more praise than it gets. So the Sapphires, one to check out. Then finally, I watched Dragon Ball Z Volume 4, the first 2 discs of the season, and it's a 6-disc season. I watched the first 2 discs about 20 times. I keep trying to. It is not that I didn't like it. But I kept trying to watch it, and then I would like not and start watching something else. I was on a Dragon Ball kick for a while. I watched all of Dragon Ball, and then I started Dragon Ball Z, and for whatever reason when I got to season 4, I kind of just stopped watching it. I don't know if I needed a break or what, but I kept trying to watch season 4 over and over and over again and just not getting through it. And again, it's not because I didn't like it or wasn't enjoying it. It's a great story. I just, for whatever reason, just never made it through it. So I finally decided we're here bunkering down, and we're going to start getting back into Dragon Ball Z. I'm actually in the process of watching season 5 now. So very awesome season. I love it with Trunks here showing up, and the season starts out fairly crazy. When Trunks comes into play and he just immediately kills off Frieza and stuff like that, I'm like, where's this gonna go now? Like, holy crap, Frieza's dead, like just like that. And then of course the story progresses from there, and you realize, oh, okay, like this is where the story's gonna go. It's gonna get even better, which I should have known off the bat. I don't even know why I doubted Dragon Ball at all. I mean, of course it was going to get better. Of course the story was going to be fantastic. So another great season of Dragon Ball Z. I can't wait to see where things go. I'm already excited about the little bit of season 5 I watched, and it's going awesome. So very, very cool. Yeah, I'm into Cell just showed up, so I'm curious to see where that goes. Don't spoil it for me. Yeah. We'll see. I'm very interested in the Cell character and seeing where he goes. So, all right. Then I watched American Ultra, which seems to get kind of mixed reviews from you guys. When I said I picked this one up a few days ago, some of you guys said it was really good. Some of you guys said you didn't like it. So, you guys seem to be a little bit of a mixed bag on this one. I liked it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I love that Jesse Eisenberg, he's this, and I hope I don't spoil too much here, but he was basically kind of this, like, government trained soldier who became kind of like the best. They were all these government trained soldiers, and they really weren't passing the test and whatnot. And he did, and they kind of disbanded the program, and they sent him off. But unfortunately, he kind of come back into his own at any point, to be through some keywords, be basically turned back into this super soldier. And that is what's happening, because they're gonna kill him. They're basically gonna kill off him and get rid of this program, because they feel like he's a danger to everybody. And the person who set this original program up doesn't want to see him die, so she goes and basically brings him back as a super soldier. And it's just him like kicking ass this whole time, but like not knowing why and what's going on. And as the movie goes on, him finding out like what happened to him. And Kristen Stewart, you find out some cool things about her. I won't try to give anything away. A little bit of a twist there, but really enjoyable story. I actually really liked this one. I thought it was a lot of fun. The action scenes were great. Jesse Eisenberg did a great job in this one. I mean, watching him, kill people with a spoon and a dustpan, and all the crazy action scenes in this were a lot of fun. I thought the story was pretty good. Definitely, in my opinion, one worth checking out. I'm not sure what all the hate was for, and why some of you guys didn't like this one. Maybe leave a comment, let me know. But I thought it was pretty good. I would recommend it. It's a lot of fun, and definitely one to check out. And then finally, I was definitely blown away by this one. That is The Lion Guard: Return of the Roar. This was a great little mini movie. This is only a 45-minute movie. It's not very long, but that's because this was kind of like a what's what I'm looking for here? A pilot movie, I guess you might say. This is actually a series. The Lion Guard is now a series on Disney Junior, and this was the movie that's premiered it, basically. And I love this. It was great. It's a story about Simba's son ends up having the roar, and basically the Lion Guard was this guard. See, I don't want to ruin too much of this, but it was this kind of it was these bunch of lions that guarded the Pride Land, and his son ends up. They find out that Simba's son ends up being the new Lion Guard. And see, I won't want to ruin this one too much, because it was actually really good. And him figuring that out and having to create a new Lion Guard of people, or of animals to fight and protect the Pride Land. And of course, there's the hyenas who they gotta fight off. And I see the one negative of this is I think Puma is the only original actor, the original voice in this movie. I think, if I'm not mistaken, from what I looked up, everybody else in this is voiced by somebody new, and none of the original cast comes back, which I was kind of wondering what that was about. Was that a choice by Disney, or was that a choice by the actual actors? Is just nobody want to come back and reprise their roles? I was kind of bummed out by that. I would have liked to have seen a lot of people come back, and a lot of people who played these characters, I don't really think are doing too much right now. So I think a lot of them could have came back and reprised their roles, and they should have. Again, I don't know if that was them or Disney. I want to say it might have been Disney, and I'm only saying that because I just can't imagine so many people not wanting to come back. I would assume at least some of them would have wanted to come back, right? But then again, when I think about it, the voices probably have to match the voices from the TV show, and maybe paying all these actors to come back would have been way too expensive. They just got some voice actors to come in, as opposed to getting all these big stars to come in. So I guess maybe that makes sense. It'd probably be very expensive to pay all these voice actors, or these big stars to come in and reprise their characters for a TV show, as opposed to just getting some voice actors to come in, and I'm sure that's a lot cheaper. So I guess probably it makes sense that way. But nevertheless, Lion Guard was fantastic, and I know I'm not getting too much in the story. I don't want to give too much away, because I was surprised. I went into this one thinking, oh, it's like a Disney Junior movie. How's this gonna be? What's the animation gonna be like? I wasn't expecting all that much. I thought it was gonna be very mediocre, and it ended up being fantastic. A great story. I'm really interested in seeing the series now, which I'm actually kind of bummed about, because in a little bit of a way, because I want to see more movie. I'm sure the series is gonna be great, but this can make for like a whole bunch more movies, as opposed to just like a bunch of like 20-minute episodes. I could see this being like a whole, I don't know, big thing, big epic story in a great big movie. They should do that, but they're not going to. But anyway, great. Definitely worth picking up and checking out. The animation was really good as well. So I was thinking about it. I was like, did they put a lot of time and effort into this? Is that why the animation looks so good? And I thought to myself, you know what? I think in the year 2016, I think we're just at the point now where computer animation is done so well that you can do it, on a lower budget and have it still look really, really good. Like, that's what I'm thinking it is now. Because I can't imagine they would have spent a ton on putting this out. I mean, probably more lower budget as far as Disney is concerned. They're not going to put a full budget of, like, one of their big epic movies. But, yeah, I'm going to say probably more of a lower budget release, I'm assuming. But I think it's just at the point now where computer animation just looks so good that it's gotten to the point where it's not going to look bad anymore. You're not going to watch it and go, oh, that looks like poor quality animation compared to like a movie. You're going to watch it now and go, it looks pretty good, pretty close. It looks fantastic. And the animation was good. The story was good. Everything was good. This is one to check out. I can't say that enough. If you're a fan of The Lion King, see this. Unfortunately, like I said, it is only like 45 minutes long. I wish it was an hour and a half. I would have loved it. There's a lot of great songs in this as well. Just great all around. I can't recommend this one enough. Check out The Lion Guard. It was fantastic. If you like Disney, this is one to see. Oh, and this should have got a Blu-ray release. Like I said, the animation was really good. Would have looked fantastic in high definition. Disney, why did you not release this to Blu-ray? Why DVD only? I don't get it. We should have got a Blu-ray release of this. Shame on you. So, all right, guys, there you go. That is it. Not bad. A half hour. Wow. I actually had a few more titles there than I initially expected to do in this video. Like I only expected to do maybe 10, but I ended up doing, I think, like 11 or 12 or I forget how many. Anyway. Okay, I'm going to go now, guys. I need to get something to drink now. So, all right, that is it. So, like I always say, guys, thank you so much for checking this video out. Be sure to hit that like button down below. Also, if you want to see a new video from me every single day, then hit the subscribe button, and you're going to get one. And also, if you want to grab yourself a Cinema Sickness t-shirt, hoodie, tank top, hat, buttons, all that kind of cool Cinema Sickness gear, head over to cinemasickness.spreadshirt.com, where you can get yourself some of that. And also, if you want to keep videos like this coming your way, head over to patreon.com/cinemasickness, where you can become a patron and show your support. Any tiny little bit helps and is very much greatly appreciated. So, all right, guys, that's it. Thanks for watching. Have a good one, and I will see you all tomorrow. Bye.